Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your August 2021 mid-month general reading. We're looking at the last 2 weeks of August. And this reading is for the fire sign of Leo. Welcome everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks for being here, for taking the time to watch this or any of the videos on my YouTube channel, for all your support, donations, comments, feedback, reaching out for personal readings. All welcome and appreciated. So this reading is for the fire sign of Leo for the last 2 weeks of August 2021. That's if your sun, moon, rising, or Venus sign is in Leo. It's also relevant if you're cross-watching for a Leo. Because it's a general reading, of course, it's going to resonate a little differently for everyone. So watch all of your signs for any additional insight they might give you. And if you find that anything resonates with you, you'd like to reach out for a personal reading, maybe take a deeper look at something for yourself or as a gift for someone else, you can click on the little arrow below, click on the description link where you'll find my email address, maggie1mcguire@gmail.com. Feel free to email me directly. I can usually respond the same day with more information. I'd be delighted to hear from you. I do offer a wide variety of readings, and I do readings full time, so I'm pretty diligent about timely scheduling. So send me a message if you'd like. Okay, Leo, let's see what the last 2 weeks of August are holding for you. I am using, excuse me, the Tarot of Dreams and clarifying with the Gilded Tarot. Okay, Leo, we begin with the Nine of Wands, followed by the Fool, we have the Ace of Swords, followed by the Ten of Cups. We have the Two of Cups, followed by the King of Cups. Might be a Cancer or Pisces or Scorpio, showing up as a male, as a king, but this is a general reading, so it could be a female as well. And from the bottom of the deck, the overall energy and focus is the Emperor. So the overall energy is the Emperor, Leo. Aries is attached to the Emperor, so for some of you this might be an Aries individual. It could be a father or a father figure. It's likely somebody who's a bit older. The Emperor is somebody who kind of encompasses and embodies all of the character traits of the king. Somebody older, senior, well-established, somebody who's very good at controlling a lot of different things. This is somebody who's very disciplined, accountable. He can sometimes be kind of domineering and rigid because he's the emperor. He has an entire empire, a collection of kingdoms to run. So he's usually pretty disciplined and accountable. So this is an individual that's showing up as a focus for you for the last 2 weeks of August. Now, if this isn't somebody you have a more or less personal relationship with, like a partner or a father, this could be somebody who's in a position of seniority, status, decision-making ability. For example, it could be a boss or a CEO at work. In a courtroom, this would be the judge. But this is a person that's showing up as significant. We have the Nine of Wands, which is kind of that wounded warrior, dark night of the soul, the 11th hour card. Tens in the tarot represent cycle endings, or coming full circle to achievement or fulfillment, an ending, whether it's an ending where you leave and leave something behind, or whether it's just everything coming together in the best way possible. The tens represent the most energy of that suit, and Wands is governed by the element of fire. So the Nine of Wands represents being at a place where you feel close to the end of something, whether you realize it or not, but you're feeling tired, discouraged, worn out. Sometimes in other decks, this is portrayed as a soldier who's standing up and he's holding on to a wand, he's got some wounds. This is somebody who's been through it, and you may feel like there's one last obstacle or challenge. This person has decided to take a little time out, maybe wondering, should I go on? Should I continue? Is it worth it? Do I have what it takes? It's being close to the end of something. And with it, we have the Fool, which is about stepping off the beaten path, exploring something new, trusting, stepping out of your comfort zone and trusting that everything's going to be all right. Sometimes the Fool can represent doing something that's rather foolish, but it represents starting off on a brand new, unknown journey that you have no idea how it's going to go or how it's going to end, because that's what the Fool does. He doesn't walk paths he's already walked before. This is about stepping off the beaten path and trusting. We have the Ace of Swords and the Ten of Cups here. The Ace of Swords is that epiphany. It's a card that can represent success that comes from seeing something in the reality or clarity that it is, a new idea or a new perspective, or seeing something for the absolute reality that it is without being clouded by emotions, because Swords is governed by the element of air, which governs our minds, belief systems, perspectives, ideologies. It's kind of like the light bulb going off over your head. Sometimes this card can be a little challenging because it can represent success from truth. And sometimes when you see a situation for the absolute reality of what it is, not what you want it to be, not what you hoped it to be, not what you've been telling yourself to be, and that reality is not what you want, it can be a challenge. But in that seeing it clearly, you have the option to make choices and decisions to create a healthier reality for yourself. And with it is the Ten of Cups, the happy home, white picket fence, happily ever after card, whatever that means for you. It's the ultimate fulfillment of the suit of cups, which is emotions and feelings. The Ten of Cups can represent home, family, love, marriage, everything that has to childbirth, everything that has to do with home and family, kind of feeling like everything's finally come together. Everything's finally come together in a really great way. You've got that white picket fence. So there's some kind of epiphany about that here. And then we have the Two of Cups, which is the soulmate, kindred spirit, best friend, karmic connection, connecting with another person or thing, because the Two of Cups represents a union between two people, two entities. That's great, karmically connected and more than just what's obvious. So for example, in love and romance, this would be connecting with someone that you feel a best friend, kindred spirit, companionship with. There might be attraction there as well, but it's about a meeting of the mind, the heart, the soul, the spirit. And it's with the King of Cups, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, which is interesting because the King of Cups and the Emperor are not the same person. This may be, for some of you, for whom this might resonate more as a love-romance relationship, this might be about somebody that you're already involved with or connected with, but your actual true soulmate, that karmic connection, is with somebody else. For some of you, it might be the Emperor might actually be a father or a father figure. And the issues, you may have another partner, this King of Cups, and there's some kind of conflict. Maybe your father or who you see as a father figure doesn't approve, although I don't think that's going to resonate with too many people. I'm actually going to clarify now. Clarify the Emperor. We have Justice, which is about honor, ethics, doing the right thing. It represents that the outcome of something is entirely dependent on the actions that you choose or say. The Five of Cups, grief over what was lost, maybe regret, although you still do have some cups, 2 cups upright, even though 3 have spilled out. This is a card of regret over things that have been lost, focusing on things that have been lost, even though there are some things to be gained or that you have. But it can also represent dwelling so much on what isn't there that you miss what opportunities might be there, especially if, for those of you for whom this might be a love and romance reading, this is about your attention being on one person when in fact where it needs to be is somewhere else. And then we have the Five of Pentacles, which is could be financial insufficiency and lack. On an emotional level, it represents being shut out, feeling shut out, abandoned, rejected, out in the cold. I'm going to keep clarifying a bit. Clarify the Nine of Wands. One of you, either you or the Emperor, Leo, I feel like some of you, you're feeling like the Emperor is not doing the right thing by you, is whatever, or you may be disagreeing on what you feel like the right thing is here. And because of that, somebody is feeling sad. Somebody is feeling left out in the cold. You know, in a romantic relationship, or whatever the connection is, it's quite clear that you have a relationship of some kind with the Emperor. And it feels like there's a letdown with the Emperor. Like the Emperor, which is interesting because the Emperor is typically the one that's supposed to do what's just and right here. And it may be that you disagree on what's right here and you're disappointed because of that and feeling kind of left out in the cold. It's like a relationship where you're sort of still in the relationship, but there's so much disappointment and things that you don't have in this relationship or that the Emperor isn't giving you. And it may be that the Emperor's decision, regardless of whether this is romantic or at work or some other situation, it feels like you're constantly having to beg or be in need or be hungry, because that's what the Five of Pentacles represents. It usually shows some version of a person or two people being shut out on the outside of what's solid, stable, reliable, resources. So you're in a position of need, of having to beg, of always being hungry, right? There's a lot of disappointment here. Clarify the Nine of Wands. The Tower. And the Hierophant. This is like fear of an ending, fear of a bad ending, fear of something that you have being destroyed or taken away from you. It feels kind of like, for some of you, that you're afraid if you take the next and perhaps final step in this connection or relationship with the Emperor, that you're going to destroy what stability you see yourself as having. Interesting. Let's clarify the Fool. I'm just going to clarify so I can get a bit of a clearer picture here. Clarify the Fool. The Empress. And the Eight of Swords. So we have the Emperor and the Empress here. The Eight of Swords is a card of self-limitation. Swords is governed by the element of air, which is our mind. This person is held back and trapped, not by anything truly external, but by her own ideas or belief systems or ideologies. I can't leave this situation where I'm not really happy because, fill in the blank. I can't leave this relationship because I'll be alone and then I'll have lost everything and then it will all be for nothing and maybe I'll be alone for the rest of my life. Who knows? I can't leave this unhappy job or, quit, tell my boss what I really think of him because, maybe I won't find another job or I won't find one that pays as well as this or whatever. It's a card of telling yourself that you're trapped when you're really not. You just need to, the chains that are wrapped around this woman's wrists aren't connected to anything or anyone. She could simply twist her wrists and they would fall off. She could take the blindfold off, stand up and realize that she can in fact leave this situation. Maybe it's not easy, everything comes at a cost, but you're not trapped or held back. And then the Empress. The Empress would, the Empress is the Emperor's natural mate. This is somebody who feels, this is somebody who's full of abundance and fertility. It's a card of new beginnings and that the time is right to plant seeds, to conceive, to sow something new, which is very similar to the Fool, which it's clarifying. It's about new beginnings. And the Empress would never allow herself to be in a situation where she was treated anything less than what she deserves. She's the Empress. She embodies all of the queens. This is about indulgence and self-love and taking care of oneself as well, you know, and new beginnings in that as well. But there's a sense of feeling trapped here. It feels like I think for some of you, regardless of what your relationship with this emperor is or this situation is, it feels like you're afraid to take the next step, which might be the final step, like ending something, like surrendering to an end, because the Nine of Wands is being close to the end but not being there. You know, the next card after that Nine of Wands would be the Ten of Wands, just surrendering to an ending just because it's too overwhelming, it's too heavy, you can't deal with it anymore. But it also means the ending of something that you have a lot, you know, you have a lot established in, or there's some kind of history or foundation there, whether it's a romantic relationship or a parental relationship or a work relationship of some kind. You're telling yourself that you can't have a new beginning, that you're trapped, and because of that, it feels like it's kind of eroding your sense of self-esteem and self-worth and self-value, because you keep telling yourself you can't end this, or you can't take that next step. You can't make a decision that may actually be in your own best interest because, you know, fill in the blank. There's all kinds of reasons we give ourselves or excuses. Clarify the Ace of Swords. What's this new idea or epiphany? Here is the Ten of Swords. Yeah, this is surrendering to an end. This is coming to the end of this long-held, heavy burden, and saying, I'm too overwhelmed. I can't carry this anymore. This is being at the end and knowing that this burden needs to come down. It's time to lay this burden down. And the Fool. Clarify the Ten of Cups. The Nine of Swords. Stress, anxiety, worry, sleepless nights, fear of an unknown future, negative obsessive worrying. The Devil, toxic, negative cycles. But there's something alluring in that. I mean, the Devil can represent addictions or obsessive energy. Even if the thing itself isn't necessarily bad, this is putting so much obsessive energy into something to the detriment of everything else in your life or everyone else in your life. But the Devil, you know, that devil energy enslaves and entraps through temptation, so there's something that keeps pulling you back into it. It represents a toxic cycle that's very tempting and difficult to break. And then we have Three of Swords, heartache, heartbreak, separation, breakup, endings. I think what you're seeing here, Leo, and this is something you may have been seeing for a time, but it really in the last couple of weeks of August becomes forefront of seeing something in the absolute reality of what it is. And what it is this cycle that is just never ending. It just keeps going on and on and on, back and forth, this constant worry and fear and heartache and heartbreak because somebody isn't living up to your expectations. You're not agreeing on what the right thing is to do, but you stay. You're afraid to kind of go to the ending or make a stand or an ultimatum or something of that sort because you're afraid that it's going to be so difficult, so hard, so painful, that it will just destroy everything that you've invested in this, even though this thing isn't making you happy. It's like you're stuck. You feel you're trapped. But what you're trapped by is in here. And then we have this Two of Cups and King of Cups. Clarify the King of Cups. Clarify the King of Cups. The Two of Cups. The Two of Cups is clarified by the King of Cups, right? So I decided to clarify the King of Cups first, and we've got the Two of Cups. So this is a very strong soulmate, kindred spirit connection. You know, sometimes the Two of Cups represents best friends or two people who have been good friends, really good friends for quite some time, and then it begins to transition into something else. I feel like this King of Cups is somebody that you know, somebody that you may be friends with, somebody that you have some kind of historical connection with. You get along well, you probably have a lot in common, and whether or not you're aware of this or not, this is a much stronger karmic connection than you think it is, and this person may be the person that you're meant to be with. That's pretty much, let's clarify that Two of Cups. Whether or not you're admitting it, whether or not they're admitting it, especially if you're already in a relationship with someone else, or they think you are, or your heart is still tangled up in this other thing. The Ace of Wands, new beginnings, the first spark. The Six of Cups, a card of historical connections, the past, the Lovers, a decision, and a significant relationship decision needs to be made here. The Lovers usually comes up when a decision needs to be made about a relationship in terms of the future of that relationship. Sometimes can represent third-party situations. I feel like this person who's showing up as your soulmate, your kindred spirit in this situation, whether it's romantic or otherwise, I feel like they are the person that, this is somebody that you already know. Honestly, this feels more like a love romance relationship than anything else. Although it could be two things. It could be, you know, for some of you that you're in a perhaps toxic work environment or job cycle where work-life balance is really challenging and really difficult, and doing what you need to do at work or with your relationship with your boss, or maybe you own the company or something like that. It's costing you work-life balance, meaning you're not able to invest the energy where it actually needs to go in a healthy way, because the devil represents toxic negative cycles. And it may be that, you know, you're holding out on, you're afraid to quit your job or try and find another one or transition because you're worried that everything that you've built up in there is going to be lost, but yet it's costing you time here with your partner, your soulmate. I mean, because this Two of Cups, King of Cups, this whole run of cards here at the end, this is like relationship, emotions, love, with somebody that you know, whether it's an established partner now. And the choice, because it feels like the choice that needs to be made is about whether or not you're going to choose who and what is really important to you, even though it's difficult for you to pull away from who and what you've already been invested in. And I say who and what because this is a general reading, so the who and what may vary. But it feels like Spirit is strongly indicating that this Two of Cups, King of Cups is where you need to be. But the decision, of course, is up to you. You know, Spirit rarely ever forces us to choose. This is a choice you need to make between two people, two situations here, in order for you to fully be with the person that you're with, or the person that you're supposed to be with here. It's just a question of breaking this negative, toxic cycle that keeps pulling on you. Very interesting. Any final guidance, advice for Leo for the last 2 weeks? That one just jumped right out. 2 weeks of August. Eight of Wands, moving very quickly, making decisive movements forward, could be travel. The Queen of Wands, there you are, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising. Eight of Cups, leaving, turning your back on that which is not fulfilling for you, even though you may have thought it was in the beginning. You're turning your back and going in search of your wish fulfillment. And the Ace of Cups, new love and romance, the beginning of new love and romance, which could be with this other person if you're transitioning out of a relationship. But the Ace of Cups means the heart beginning to open up again. It can mean divine love, and it can mean self-love, the beginning of self-love, or the beginning of remembering who you are and your self-worth and self-value, you know, that Empress. What do you really deserve? You deserve to be happy and joyful and fulfilled. This situation with the Emperor, whether it's love and romance or a work situation or somebody that has this, you feel this tied to, this hold on, this person, this situation, it leaves you hungry. It leaves you out in the cold. Even if there's time periods in between that feel good, the devil represents that, you know, the piper has to be paid. But this is a situation that's going to go on and on and on and on for as long as you allow it to continue. There's something quite lovely and quite beautiful right there for you. I think it's been there for you for quite some time. Whether it's an already established partner and this is a work thing, or whether it's the person you're actually supposed to be with. And a decision needs to be made, but that decision is yours. Free will, free agency, right? Spirit is obviously advocating that you make a decision to turn your back on this thing. This emperor work, love situation, and the sooner the better. Interesting. Okay, Leo, those are your messages for the last 2 weeks of August. I hope they were helpful for you, because that's why we do these readings. Forewarned is forearmed. So I hope it was clarifying for you. Now, if this resonated with you enough that you want to reach out for a personal reading, take a deeper look at something for yourself or as a gift for someone else, it's nothing more personal than a personal reading in terms of a gift. Email me directly at maggie1maguire@gmail.com. You can also get that information by clicking on the description link below. I will see you all in a couple of weeks for the September general readings. Until then, stay safe and well, be blessed, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.